We have Dr. Daphne talk to us from the University of Kansas, Dr. Daphne. So we're very honored to have you here today. Thank you for coming. If everybody would please silence your cell phones and save all of your questions until the very end. We're going to have Sister Brady's going to be videotaping her presentation today and putting it on YouTube so that we can see it again. So we would appreciate that.
So please
if anybody needs to use the restroom, you'll go out this door down the long hall into the bar. Restroom is there. So thank you very much.
I got one more thing to say to you. This is Rick Hay again. Thanks everybody for coming out. We do encourage you guys to buy some additional raffle tickets for the raffle. That's how we're paying for this event. If we don't make enough to pay for the event, there may not be others. So please participate by buying some raffle tickets. They're only $2 a piece. That'll help us continue to have these types of events. Thanks. Yeah, the girls over here. Thanks. It's all yours.
I'm going to try to organize the technology. I'm told my voice is not loud enough to carry it here, so I might need some amplification. And I think I will stand up here. And if we could have the lights off of the screen, I think that would be great. I'm Daphne. I'm a professor at the University of Kansas, and I am the co-author of this book on anemone fish, which I know some of you have, and it forms the basis of the talk that I'll be giving today. My co-author of the book is actually the expert on anemone fish, Gary Allen. I have spent my career studying sea anemones. So the objective of my talk today is to tell you something of what I learned about sea anemones, particularly the ones that are host to anemone fish or clownfish, something of the symbiosis, and then to learn from you, because I found that the interchange is really great. I will start off by saying I am not an aquarist. I lack the green thumb. I have a black thumb. I lack the time or the dedication or the money to be a serious aquarist. So I learn all the time, because there are certain things that we can learn only from having the animals in nature tell us, but there are certain things we learn from having them in the aquarium. So I look forward to the question period. The theme of this, as I said, is the anemone fish symbiosis, or some truths about Nemo. So the movie Finding Nemo has given me an opportunity to frame some of the aspects of the anemone fish symbiosis in terms of the movie. So all of you know the story. Mom and Dad had 100 babies. Mom and 99 of the babies were eaten by a barracuda, and so Dad was left to care for Nemo. Nemo rebels against Dad, swims to the edge of the reef, is caught by fish collectors, taken to a dentist's office ultimately ends up in the dentist's office in Sydney, and so then Dad and his friends swim to Sydney to find the rescue Nemo. And there they are, finally getting to Sydney, where they finally all the rest of the story is getting Nemo back to his home on the Great Barrier. So, what are the players in this story? I use the term anemone fish and clownfish interchangeably. I know that that is not the case in all fields, but I don't distinguish between the two. I use, as some of you already know, the scientific names for them mostly. And then the sea anemone is the other partner in this story. Both animals, very different kinds of animals. And they live together in the ocean. The interesting thing to me is they were known individually scientifically for 100 years before somebody realized that they lived together. Because sea anemones are carnivores, they're predators, and nobody could imagine that a fish could exist living among the tentacles of a sea anemone. So they live together in what scientists term a symbiosis. Now, symbiosis is defined differently even in science in different places. In North America, we simply mean by symbiosis the literal meaning, which is living together. And it's an intimate relationship. In Europe, symbiosis means a mutualism, which means both parties benefit. The way we use it is they live together. One may benefit, they both may benefit, one may even be harmed. That to me is a symbiosis. So I am not saying that both the anemone and the anemone fish benefit by this relationship, just that it is an intimate relationship between the two. So, as I said, I've spent my career studying sea anemones. What are sea anemones? Well, sea anemones are really very simple animals. Some people call them primitive. They've been on the earth a lot longer than humans. I don't like to call them primitive. They've survived a lot. They're simple, however. They have one body opening, which is the mouth, which is right in the middle among the tentacles. In some species, there are very few tentacles, and some there are very many. In some, the tentacles are short, some they're long. In some, the body is long, in some it's short. Those are the ways that anemones can vary. The body is called the column. It looks like a column. It's columnar in form. And the tentacles are at the opposite end from the base. And in most anemones, the base is a heel disc that attaches to something. It can attach to a rock, or I've found them trawled up from the deep sea attached to a rubber glove even. But the base is the opposite end from the mouth, but in some anemones, the base is specialized to dig in soft sediment. So they're not all attached to hard substrate in the way we think of the common ones that we know so well as tide. So they're functionally complex. They're anatomically simple, but they do just about everything you and I do. Well, maybe not quite, but just that. They don't drive cars, but they respire, they eat, they defecate, they exchange gases like we do. They don't breathe in the same way that they exchange gases. They reproduce. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is they reproduce sexually, not just asexually. In fact, most sea anemones don't reproduce asexually. Most of them can't divide. Most of them can't bud. Most of them can reproduce only by forming eggs and sperm, with the sperm fertilizing the eggs. Most of them are not hermaphrodites, some are. They're really far more varied in their reproductive abilities than we are. But it does include forming eggs and sperm, which are spawned generally freely into the water where the sperm has to meet the egg and drift around for a short while, move around as a planktonic larva, and then settle down for the rest of its life. The sea anemone is pretty much committed to one place. It can't move around very much. So normally in the aquarium trade, we know of a few kinds of sea anemones. There are actually more than 1,000 kinds known in the world. And most of them that we're familiar with have this sort of body form, but these are all the kinds. In some, the tentacles are branched. In some, as I said, the base is specialized to dig into sediment, not to attach. And this is an image from the deep sea where many kinds of anemones form what looks like a Venus flytrap. They assume that form presumably to catch food as it drifts down from the surface. So sea anemones are not all like this. Some of you have asked about my websites. This is one of them, which is a technical inventory of the sea anemones of the world. You won't be able to identify very much using it, but it will take you to all of the scientific literature on all 1,093 species that are currently considered valid. So, what about the sea anemones that host the clownfish? Well, sea anemones belong to phylum Cnidaria, and these are also cnidarians. They belong to there are about 30 or 40 phylum, major groups of animals in the world. And sea anemones, corals, jellyfish, all belong to phylum Cnidaria. They look really different from one another. So why do we group them in the same big group? Because they all have stinging capsules. They're not cells. Many people refer to nematocysts as stinging cells, but they're actually made inside a cell. And this is just microscopic, a fraction of an inch long. And these are the only ways sea anemones, jellyfish, corals can defend themselves and capture food. So the tentacles are studded with them.